Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best-of-5 series of Terran vs Zerg, where supposedly our Terran player decides to go for a ton of Cyclones. Now real quick, in case you're unfamiliar, the new multiplayer balance patch has been live for a couple of days. And let's just say that the Cyclone, it has got such a significant set of changes that it's for all intents and purposes basically a brand new unit. I mean, it's called the Cyclone, it looks like a Cyclone, but they may as well have put in like the Goliath or something along those lines, because it is completely different compared to what it used to be. Now, spawning right here in the bottom left-hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs from Mexico. We're looking inside of the main base of SpeCial, and his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones. He's from Poland, and he goes by the name of Elazer. Alrighty, I'm excited for this one. I haven't really seen a lot of Cyclone play yet at the professional level. Obviously on the ladder, it's basically all I'm facing right now, but there's no denying that the pro players, they still seem to be favoring that bio-based army here instead. Now, it's worth noting that this particular series was played on the day that the new multiplayer balance patch went live. So it was played last Friday. As a matter of fact, this is the main series of the Basilisk's Big Brain Bout number 41. In case you're unfamiliar, this is a weekly event that Rotterdam and Basilisk put on. I'll go ahead and post a link to Roddy's channel down below in the description of this video, because it's honestly a really fun event and not something that we really see in StarCraft 2 in any other form. So Elazer going up against SpeCial was the main event for that particular day, and from what I've heard, this series is awesome. So we're gonna find out together exactly what ended up going down. So far, it looks like SpeCial did decide to go for the low ground wall off, but really nothing all too aggressive. In my mind, we oftentimes see this particular opener, especially with double barracks, but obviously, this is a single barracks, now followed up with a factory. I guess it just allows you to get a little bit quicker towards the other side of the map, and defending your natural expansion is going to be a bit easier as well, but ironically, SpeCial has decided to go for a delayed expansion, so he will be going for one here eventually, but generally speaking, we see barracks into command center and then eventually a factory. This means though that SpeCial is going to be able to start pumping out those units right away, and we'll have to see if he decides to go into mass Cyclone right from the start of this series. I honestly don't know. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when these games were being played, I mean, at this point, obviously, the new patch is still very new. It's only been a couple of days, but at the moment that this particular series was played, these guys probably had played a handful of games, maybe a little bit on the PTR as well, but I think it's safe to assume that they do not feel comfortable with all of the changes just yet. Honestly, that's a perk though, at least for us as viewers. I think that generally, that makes the game a little bit more exciting. Now, what in the world is this start right here? So SpeCial is actually just going triple Reaper, built off of a single barracks. So triple Reaper openers have become very popular over the last few months. Bjorn obviously popularized that some time ago, and generally it's played off of double barracks, but I guess SpeCial is still gonna go triple Reaper. He's now gonna go into a Hellion here as well, and he's got himself a starport finishing up. Okay. Yeah, small deviation, but you can see that Elazer is not 100% sure on how to exactly handle this. I mean, he's lost 3 drones so far. It's really not the end of the world whatsoever, but it's interesting to me how Terran players have gotten very creative with their early game structures, right? And the units that they produce out of it. It really becomes a bit of a guessing game. Now, in my mind, by the way, and I don't really know exactly how relevant this is going to be in this particular series, but in my mind, Elazer has always been a man who really enjoys the Hydralisk. Back in the day, he did a ton of Hydralisk timing attacks, and he did incredibly well in tournaments. Now, sadly for him, one day, Blizzard woke up and decided to nerf the Hydralisk. With the new patch, however, the Hydra is once again a little bit better. Oh my god, here we go. Cyclones are coming up 2 at a time. Anyways, it's a small change. I don't really think it's gonna allow a lot of Hydra timings, but if anybody can come up with a Hydralisk timing attack, or if anybody's gonna be experimenting with such an opener, I think it would probably be Elazer. Cyclones are gonna get caught right away. Okay, I was gonna say, if he rallies them to the wrong side of the wall, they would be super dead. So it's 2 Cyclones right now back into Hellions. So it looks a little bit cursed to see 2 Cyclones on the production tab off of a single factory, but that's one of the most significant changes to this unit. So they're 50 gas each, and I guess that's the main downside of producing these compared to, for example, Hellions. And obviously they're quite a bit slower as well, but you can make a couple of them and just use them for hunting overlords, for example, to try and just, well, harass the Zerg wherever possible. Raven right now on the back of this too. Another unit that has gone through a significant set of changes. Oh my god. This is actually super painful. Special is dealing a ton of damage here. Yeah. So what do you make here as Zerg against this particular army, right? Because Cyclones kind of scream roaches to me. Oh. The Hellions obviously are pretty good against... Well, yeah, this is a strong unit composition, man. It's just 3 Reapers, but those grenades can put in a lot of work, and they can really mess up the AI, I guess, of those units quite a bit. Eventually, all of this is going to get cleaned up with those Zerg reinforcements now showing up, but that was a lot of damage done there by the Terran player, although, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Raven decided to go around the site. We have 2 of those auto turrets drop down in the back of the main as well as the natural. Very interesting. So, he's gonna continue onwards with the Hellion production. I've played against a couple of players who have gone for a brand new unit composition that I actually think is incredibly strong. It's not really something we've ever seen before because in the previous patches it didn't really make a lot of sense. One of the changes that they have made to the Cyclone is that the auto attack now benefits from upgrades. So it's no longer, or the auto attack as well as like the lock-on ability, right? So it no longer is considered to be a spell. Now a spell in StarCraft 2 has a couple of weird caveats. Like for example, it ignores armor by default, but it also doesn't get better when additional upgrades come into play. So in the past, whenever you would see Mass Cyclone, players would generally only upgrade their armor on the unit, because the attack upgrade, I mean, it was nice, I guess, for the basic attack of the unit, but most of the damage came out of the locked-on ability. Nowadays, that's no longer the case, so it works a little bit differently. And I've seen some players, and I don't really know if this is going to be a good unit comp moving forward. And it's not actually what we're seeing in this game either, because this is a bio transition. But this is just something worth noting, I think. I've seen some players go Ravens with anti-armor missile together with Cyclones. And I've played a bunch of games against that exact style, where I have a lot of Hydras out, I have a lot of Roaches out, and I get absolutely destroyed. In the past, those engagements just didn't happen that way at all, so I would get the anti-armor missile maybe on my units, but it didn't really matter all too much. But anti-armor missile together with the new Cyclone hits like an absolute truck. So I'm secretly hoping we're gonna see some of that as well here from Special. Again, I don't actually know if it's good or if it's just something that requires, you know, a specific strategy, a specific counter, right? And it just might take a little bit of time before Zerg players will figure out how to deal with it. But so far, really liking this game here for Special, though. Yeah, he did deal, I mean, quite a bit of damage to himself as well, I suppose, by losing all those units. But 6 queens, 11 drones, 45 Zerglings. Not bad at all. So Elazer is playing a lot more of a normal style here, right? So he's gonna go into the upgrades right now. He's going into the Baneling speed. This is an upgrade, of course, that is not quite as powerful anymore as it once used to be. With the previous patch for many, many years, that upgrade also increased the hit points of the Baneling by 5, and now it's just gonna be a movement speed upgrade, which is fair enough, but very significant nerf. Elazer is gonna go into Hydras here. Interestingly enough, he's only got 1 evolution chamber, and he's only gonna go for the carapace research. Okay. Marines pushing forward, just picking off more and more queens. Yeah, as long as there's no Banelings here to really threaten this army, I guess it'll be okay. Reinforcing units show up as well. We have a Mil Ursa deck just blocking some of that Bioforce, but... Okay, well, that siege tank is having a grand old time, not just shooting at the, the Zerglings, but also at the Marines. In the end, there's just way too many units right here for Special. G is cold. And our Terran player, he obtains a seemingly easy win in game number 1. Alright, game number 2. We find ourselves on a map called Equilibrium. I've decided to fast forward through the first couple minutes of the game, because it's once again identical build orders here for both players. We'll have to see exactly what Special decides to do here, but I kind of like the introduction of those 2 Cyclones earlier, right? So, I know I'm talking a lot about strategy over the last couple of casts, and that's mostly just because, well, the interactions on the screen are pretty obvious, right? And I mostly want to talk about gameplay implications, I suppose. I don't know if it's annoying. Maybe I should give a little bit more play-by-play commentary as well. I feel like I barely casted the game in the previous one. I was just following the pretty pictures while talking about strategy. Anyways, a little bit more strategic talk. I hope that Special decides to go for the same opener once again. One thing that we don't really talk about very often is Overlord positioning. So usually the way that Zerg players position their Overlords in Terran versus Zerg is a little bit ahead of the creep. So generally, if you have creep tumors going, say you have like creep all the way over here, you'll have an Overlord in this area, Overlord in that area, Overlord in that area. Basically scouting ahead of the creep to see if it's safe to put down the tumor. And that way you can keep track of the rotating that Terrans like to do on the minimap, right? So you kind of look at the minimap, you're like, okay, Terran army seems to be heading down south, I can spread the tumors up north, right? With the Cyclones, however, and this is, by the way, mass factory play right now. Okay, this is a different threat entirely. Anyways, with the Cyclones, yes, you can still have Overlord vision if you park them on top of pillars, but you're not going to be able to scout as easily ahead of the creep anymore, which is a small thing, but it may very well result in a lot more creep tumor kills for Terrans, because Zerg can't really scout ahead as easily, as long as there's a Cyclone out, since of course it shoots up. Okay, well, speaking of shooting up, I think the... Wait, oh, he had a Cyclone going, 2 of them actually, and then he decided to cancel them. Interesting. There's a Cyclone coming in the main base. We have a reactor building as well as a tech lab, but... Ah! I was gonna say, why did we build the tech lab? We've got a new upgrade, guys. I don't know what this upgrade is called. I have actually not ever looked into what that upgrade is called. We'll find out, I guess, as it pops up on the right side of the screen. So, the new multiplayer balance patch, it reduced the movement speed of the Cyclone quite a bit. So you can see that the unit is feeling a little bit slow and sluggish, and it's, you know, it's not as fast as it once used to be. However, if you get that upgrade done, I believe it's 100 minerals, 100 gas, and like 100 seconds research, something along those lines, they will get their old movement speed back. So relatively cheap, but obviously you're gonna have to make a tech lab in order to research it, so you can't get it out as easily. But I guess if you're gonna go and play this style, you'll probably also go into... You'll probably also go into Blue Flame, I would imagine. Queens are holding themselves okay-ish, though. I was gonna say, we are gonna need more, because one of them will go down. That barracks, I thought it was mostly just to scout for the Overlords, but not quite the case. We're even gonna scan here and get rid of some of those creep tumors. This looks so oppressive, guys. What do you even do here as Zerg? I honestly don't know. Roaches would not be a good choice. I guess more queens. Like, you can go for roaches, but until you get a roach speed done, they're just not gonna work well. And obviously this is before any roach speed could ever be researched. Hurricane thrusters. There it is. Hurricane thrusters. Interesting. That was also my nickname in college. No. Oh, good. Look, there's the infernal pre-igniter coming up. Queens just dancing back and forth. I guess what you do as Zerg, yeah, is pull those queens a little bit further back. So in the past, the lock-on radius for that ability of the Cyclone was like 15 range, and I think it's been reduced to like 9. Which is still quite a distance, don't get me wrong, but not quite as bad as what it once used to be. Alright, well, Zerglings just running around, mostly just trying to buy time. There is the Glial Reconstitution. That'll be a great counter against the Hurricane Thrusters. And there's the Armory coming up as well as the 3rd Command Center. We're gonna rebuild, yeah, a barracks. I think this is that awkward moment where he wanted to add on an additional factory, but he couldn't because he needed them. Oh, he's gonna try and get the wrap around. Does he have enough Zerglings? Whoa, those Terran units are slippery, though. Looks like the majority of them did manage to get away for now, but this is still a very expensive set of losses right here for Special. They look so microable, dude. Oh my god. A couple of roaches now show up. But considering he did not see those Zerglings coming in from the north, yeah, 8 Hellions, 5 Cyclones, still a good trade here, all things considered for Special. It's gonna take a while until players will figure out how to play against this properly, I think. So, one thing to note though is that Zerg doesn't have that big of an economy, but he did take this base right over here on Equilibrium. He's gonna even take another hatchery down south right now. Although if there's any Reaper has any sin, okay, well, the Reaper did have say in the matter, but he didn't really do anything about it. Roach speed at this point is done. That's gonna make, I think, pushing this much easier, and I think what you probably need to do as Zerg here, again, I'm just thinking out loud, I think you probably need to do little run-bys like this, but you also need to go into the infestation pit a little bit quicker. one fungal growth, and that's obviously easier to get done these days than it used to be, other than I guess the range, but the first fungal growth will definitely be out earlier than it used to be, by about half a minute or so. Okay. It can really slow down the game a lot for the Terran. So right now SpeCial has got map control still, but he needs to be careful, because at this point I think there could be an infestor waiting, ready for a fungal to come in from the north, for example. Instead, what we have right now for our Zerg, though, is Tunneling Claws together with Burrow. Evo Chamber coming up very late. Economy here is actually decent now, because Elazer has got the golden mineral fields together with, yeah, the high-yield Vespine Geyser. So he's going to be able to sustain this army quite well. I think if you're going to play this, you might also want to go for like a Nidus Worm maybe, although I am honestly a little bit concerned for how this... I mean, at this point, don't get me wrong, at this point Elazer is an excellent spot. Mostly because he killed all those SCVs on the other side of the map and he managed to get the jump on that army, but... if you don't get it, man, it's so tricky. Okay, so we're pumping out 3 siege tanks at a time, while at the same time also 3 cyclones. He's gonna be he's gonna have to go right here for an engineering bay, mostly just to build missile turrets and to get that detection going, right? You do need detection against tunneled roaches. Here they come. I don't know if he saw the additional research or maybe if he saw the spikes right there on those roaches, but he realizes at this point that he needs to be cautious. Okay, drones start up, and now we have the bailing nest. Roaches using their tunneled ability there to create a bit of a trap for those cyclones. Elazer's army supply is much bigger here, though, than SpeCial's. But yeah, pushing into a choke point with 4 siege tanks like that, I mean, we can definitely give it a try, but I think it's a mistake. Those roaches up there did manage to get the jump on one of the tanks, but into the meat grinder they go. Okay, I love this part of StarCraft 2 though, right? Whenever there's like a new balance patch out, everybody's experimenting with some crazy stuff. And I really like what SpeCial is doing here. It is not quite perfect yet. There's definitely still room for improvement, but it is looking really solid. I wonder what Elazer decides to go for in the later stages of the game. I hope we're going to see a longer game in this series. The problem is, right, that... at least the problem that I've encountered in my own games is that all the thoughts I come up with, none of them work out particularly favorably for the Zerg. So... in my mind, right? Okay, I don't want to rant, but in my mind, with the Lurker being a little bit weaker, the Brute Lord being a little bit weaker, and an absolutely insignificant Ultralisk buff, I mean, what do you do? I'm honestly not entirely sure. I guess you do the same thing that you've always done, but then with slightly weaker units. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, we did see a bunch of balance adjustments, right? And you know, those changes are gonna be felt at this level of play, but for the vast majority of players out there, myself included, the changes really are basically irrelevant. I just need to get good and do a better job, and that would probably make up for a lot of the balance adjustments. But I think for somebody of Elazer's skill level, that is something that's going through his mind, and you can see that, much like Dark in that series against Gumi, he's sticking around on mid-game units. Yeah, I think that's probably what we're gonna see a lot of. Now, this is wonderful though here by Elazer, dealing so much damage on the other side of the map. 26 SCVs have gone down, but that's what I'm talking about. This should have never happened. There should have been a detector over here or over there to make sure that these roaches couldn't have tunneled into the main and into the natural expansion, right? Like, the solution here for Terran is just to prevent that from happening. And as we've seen over the last couple of seasons in StarCraft 2, as a map pool is around for longer, the Terrans will figure out how to position their structures most efficiently. Okay, so there's the Spire coming up. There is the Hive. So to clarify, it's not all nerfs or whatever to the Brute Lord. I think just overall, it's, especially in this matchup, a disadvantage. Oh, we once again got a couple of roaches. Are we gonna... no, I thought we were gonna go after the siege tanks, but I think we're gonna try and harass that base over there. Lovely play right here, though, by Mr. SpeCial, getting a bunch of work done. Apparently another roach got somehow some way into the main base. Maybe it never left, I'm not sure. Anyways, the Brute Lord is faster than it used to be. So I think it's about 15% or so faster compared to back in the day, the good old days, aka last Friday and everything before that. It's faster than it used to be. However, the Brutelings, they die a little bit quicker, and they in general are not quite as tanky, and they just are not quite as sustainable. So in my mind, the way that the interactions will likely work out, and again, I'm just hypothesizing here, but in my mind, the way that it will work out is that Thors, they only really struggled against Brute Lords when the Brutelings were in front of the Brute Lord, or in front of the Thors rather. And since the Brutelings die a little bit easier now, yeah, the Brute Lords can fly away a bit easier too, since they're a bit faster than they used to be, but this is all very lovely though by Elazer. Ay, ay, ay. Great work. Yeah, he's really swarming his opponent, right? Embracing him from every angle. Lovely stuff. Anyways, I think as soon as Special sees Brute Lords, which is gonna be the case over here, he's gonna fire up a round of Thors. Oh. And the Brute Lords will just melt. But obviously when the Terran is producing Thors, they're not producing siege tanks, so at that point Cyclones, Roaches once again. I guess Cyclones are kind of like the Roach for Terran, but anyways, Roaches are once again going to be a lot more viable. So it may very well be all that tech switching and the constant aggression that will allow Zergs to compete at this level of play. Now Special is doing some very lovely movement here though, being far more aggressive than any of the other high-level Terrans that I've seen lately. Most people play the Cyclones a bit more conservatively. And it is going to result in situations like this, where Special may be overextending a tad, but hey, you gotta learn by pushing the limit, right? Big Corrosive Biles, siege tanks coming up right now. Keep in mind that Cyclones can, of course, lock onto the Brute Lords too, but their range is not nearly as good as it used to be, so I don't think Cyclones are going to be a reliable choice to counter Brute Lords with, but maybe I'm mistaken. I hope not. I hope the Cyclone is not going to be good against Brute Lords as well. In the end, though, this is working out incredibly well for Elazer. Elazer at 82 workers. Maybe not trading super efficiently, but he's getting a hell of a lot of damage done. I think if those workers wouldn't have gone down though, so if we, would have seen like half of the worker losses on side of Terran, this game would have looked a lot better for Special than it currently does. Either way, Zerglings are burrowed in all the future locations that Terrans will likely take here, so Elazer knows exactly how much economy there actually is for Special, and it turns out it's really only 4 bases, which is nothing amazing. Fungal Growth, there we go, Brute Lords showing up right now. The speedy boy Brute Lords. Can they chase? Not really. A little bit. Yeah, they can kind of chase. And the sieged up tanks over here that weren't unsieged. I mean, they are faster though. They are noticeably quicker. Yeah, so the idea behind changing the Brute Lord is to make them more like the Brood War Guardian, which I do really like. Immediately though, yeah, Thors get fired up. I think he only made 4 Brute Lords here. God, they are quick, aren't they? Ay, ay, ay. They're not going to be able to outrun snipes or anything like that, but they certainly are much faster. Okay, well, yeah, the idea I think is mostly just to try and force out that Thor production so the Roach Ravager Ling army is going to be more effective, since when you're making Thors, you can't be using that factory to produce siege tanks at the same time, which is kind of awesome. Elazer coming forward, man, playing a phenomenal game. Special realizes that he can't take another expansion anytime soon, and it's Elazer who wins game number 2. Next up, we find ourselves on a map called Alcyone. I gotta say though, I really do love the dance, right, in the late game. So Terran mech versus Zerg late game. As soon as Brute Lords hit the battlefield, you gotta stop making your siege tanks, and as soon as the Thors are obviously out in big numbers, then suddenly the Roaches and Zerglings work out a lot better again, and maybe you can even start thinking about things like Ultralisks. You can even think about maybe Lurkers as well. There's a lot of options available. So I think the constant back and forth and the dance between the late game units is gonna be a very interesting one over the next couple of years. Players will really have to perfect that, I think. Playing that very swarmy approach, which, honestly, I mean, I'm a big fan of. In general, I think StarCraft 2 is a little bit too spellcaster focused, and this new patch is certainly gonna... Yeah, I think we're gonna see a little bit less of that. I mean, probably not a lot less. players will still figure out how to get the most value out of the spellcasters, but I do think we're gonna see a little bit less of it, right? Because in general, the Ghost is a little bit weaker, the Infestor is a little bit weaker. I mean, the Disruptor in my mind is also a sort of spellcaster. That one is also a little bit weaker. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, it's gonna be very cool. Anyways, Alcyone. We've already seen a couple of games on this map so far. Special, once again, decides to go for Cyclones. This time around, we didn't even start off with a Hellion. I think in the previous games, he started off with a Hellion every time, didn't he? There's a little mind game, though, that you can play as well as Terran, right? So, like, you can... Yeah, you can just play a build that looks identical every time, but sometimes bring out a Cyclone and sometimes bring out a Hellion, and then, well, the Overlords and the Queens aren't quite as safe as they would be against a little bit of Hellion shenanigans. Alright, here we go. This is a different start, though. So, Special has not got a second or a third factory nearly as quickly here. He's decided to go for Cyclones together with a Liberator. Different flavors of Cyclone. Oh, that lock-on. Yep, nicely done. The problem is, of course, that you need vision ahead of the units, right? Because you're kind of always running backwards. And then at some point you lack the vision. You can't really use a scan, but yeah, that's why this barracks is coming across the map. You need to make sure you can actually complete your lock-on as Terran, and that makes it quite costly though, because the barracks is essentially the same cost as a Queen, right? So, I mean, obviously, he wouldn't really be using it all too much. There's another question too that I'm wondering for Terran, like, do you transition? I've been making the assumption that you transition towards Terran mech from here, right? From mech into mech. Maybe you can transition into Ghosts. Maybe rather than Thors, you can go into Ghosts instead. I mean, yeah, Ghosts are technically a little bit weaker, but against units like, for example, the Brute Lord, nothing has really changed. Against the Infestor, I guess they have to be somewhat more exposed, but the Infestor is a little nerfed with the ranged ability. I mean, okay, Zergling's just running through. Yeah, you gotta be so cautious here. I think Special's overextending a bit too often. Yep. Yeah, he's stepping onto the creep. Like, these units are as tanky as they used to be. But I think they have a little bit less health. They've lost an armor. They're obviously slower as well before that upgrade. You gotta be very careful. I'm actually so impressed, though, how well the new Cyclone is working out, all things considered. Yeah, I'm still not sold on the change, but it's very exciting. And it may be slightly overtuned in my mind, but not even really by that much, if at all. It might just take a little bit of time before players figure out how to properly play against it, right? I don't think we've really seen it being used to its most potential yet either, though, but it is kind of cool how, like, we have such a long set of changes, barely any, well, practice on the PTR, but it's, yeah. Compared to a few days ago, I am viewing the Cyclone more favorably than I used to. Hyperflight Rotors coming up. Would you look at that? Special is gonna throw the kitchen sink at his opponent next, dude. Look at him. He's going, yeah, that's the Hyperflight Rotors, by the way, is the Banshee speed upgrade. Factories coming up as well. So now we're gonna be playing Battle Mech with Banshee support, which, I mean, I'm a fan of. I think you should probably mix in a Raven too. I really think anti-armor missile is the way to go, but again, it's gonna require experimentation. Hey, if you enjoy watching these videos, by the way, I try to upload new ones basically every single day. I try to cover high-level StarCraft 2 whenever I can, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. There's a lot of exciting times ahead, I think, for the next couple weeks at the very least. We're gonna see a lot of very creative strategies. I haven't really gotten to casting Protoss yet, but I think some mothership rushes may very well be in the cards as well. I've seen some very mixed results. I've seen some players saying that the new mothership is overpowered and they have no clue what to do about it. And then I've seen people say that the new mothership sucks. Oh, he's got, okay, Evo Chamber here to try and keep it alive. That's kind of clever. Lads, or ladies, stop it. All right. 7 drones right there in total. Hyperflight Rotors isn't even done yet. Here come the thrusters. What was it? Hypersonic thrusters? No, that's not it. Something thruster. It's the thruster upgrade. I love it. Big fan. Alright. Elazer this time around is adjusting. Yeah. So he's just getting one singular infester. I think that's a great investment. Lowko, you're so funny. Thank you, guys. Hit like. No, I think it's a great idea, though, because especially with tunneling claws, or not tunneling claws, burrow rather, you can obviously sit underground and just pop up and hit a fungal growth. Like, one fungal on this army, and this game is over. Right? Like, if he manages to land a fungal, get his roach army on top of it, he can instantly counterattack after that fight. It's definitely true that there's a lot of value you can get out of these cyclones, and we have yet to see the, well, majority of the value. But there's also no denying that Zergs can do a much better job defending it. Now, targeting the Evo chamber, I love it. They're so speedy, dude. Fungal! Hey. Don't think that's gonna be enough, though. No. In the meantime, there's a fight happening here as well on the left side. Special doubling. Hurricane thrusters, that's it. Hurricane thrusters. I guess tornado thrusters wasn't an option. Whirlwind thrusters. We can go with many different options. Hurricane is apparently what we settled on. Anyhow, 4-base economy now is already being set up here by SpeCial. So he's really doubling down. One thing that is going to take a lot of experimentation is to decide when you want to go for your upgrades. So both players are super late for their Evo and their armory upgrades in this particular series so far. I don't really know what the optimal time for it is, but nearly 10 minutes into the game, the first upgrade just, I mean, yeah, I don't think that's ideal. Look at these benchies though, going to town. That base is dead, unless the queens could have maybe transfused it, but just barely out of reach. Zergling's gone around the site though, but luckily here for SpeCial, he was close by. Okay. Hydras getting themselves their speed upgrade. They've already got the grooved spines upgrade. That's the ranged. Centrifugal hooks coming up as well. I've heard some people pronounce this as centrifugal hooks. I don't think that's right. Maybe it is. I don't know. I've pronounced it as centrifugal hooks for years. English, man. Elazer is doing a phenomenal job, though, pushing through this. I actually like how committed he is, right? Like he looks at these armies and he's like, yeah, I can take that. That is not something that is very obvious when the units have gone through so many changes. That confidence is not easy to actually acquire. Yeah, how do you decide that you want to push forward? When do you decide that you want to push forward? So he's transitioning away right now, by the way, from roaches and ravagers into hydras and lynx. So instead of like sticking around on like a lower mid-game tier army, he's going for a higher tier mid-game army instead. Also now supported with infestors. Okay. There's the blue flame upgrade. Certainly way too late. A lot of idle SCVs in the main base too. The upgrade for the Baneling at this point is done. We could decide to go up to this high ground, but I don't think that's an ideal... No, not an ideal goal here at all. Okay. We're gonna run to the other side of Alcyone. Planetary fortresses now deal significantly more damage, like noticeably more damage against Banelings in particular. Oh! 14 workers end up going down, and the planetary fortress. 18 SCVs here, as a few more were hiding inside of that Vespian geyser. In the meantime, the benchies dodging as many of those fungal growths as they can. Going around. Okay. Getting a good chunk of damage done. And you know what? Despite all those SCV losses that we saw just now, there's still a ton of SCVs available. Yeah, +2 is only just now started, 12 minutes in. +2 is finishing up right now for Elazer. It's very explosive. Oh, fungal, fungal, fungal. Big fungal. Can we finish any of them off? Yeah, it's an ability that doesn't last that long. And he's now losing basically all of his infestors in the process too. Oh, cloak! It's got 3 seconds of energy remaining. Live! What an engagement. Okay. In the meantime, there was a fight going on here as well. Elazer once again decides to just jump this. And you know what? I think Elazer has got a bunch of practice under his belt on the PTR. Because those fights, he does it so confidently, and I also flinch a little bit. I think Special has got the same thing going, where he may not have played the PTR as much as Elazer has. I think Special looks at these fights, he's like, oh, I've got Cyclones, they're pretty tanky units, right? I will just be able to stand my ground and fight. Turns out he can't. No. Elazer really coming in with a plan. You'll love to see it. Ay, these are some very dynamic games though, right? Truth be told, this is some beautiful StarCraft. Both of these guys at each other's throats the entire time. The entire game. Oh, that's funny. That's the interference matrix. Obviously, that's also something that needs to be researched now with the new patch. I recognize the icon. Is the upgrade also called interference matrix? I would imagine so. But it'll show up on the right side of the screen soon, I would imagine, but I don't know. Alright, now the Viper is also coming up. Yeah, just called interference matrix. Okay. So in the end, where exactly are we? I think we're in a game where Elazer is feeling a little bit more comfortable. Special right now, though, is being left alone for a little while, but he's also not roaming the map as much anymore. The man has been punched one too many times, and apparently his confidence is down the drain. He's now moving across with a much bigger army. What exactly, by the way, are we gonna interference matrix? I'm not sure. I think anti-armor missile would be a nicer choice. Okay, one of the Ravens just goes down. Yeah, this base is likely not going to live. But he's got a lot of bases as well on the left side, and that's one with a high-yield Vespian Geyser. He's taking both of those bases in the top left. Kinda cool. Yeah, we don't have high-yield gases here in the bottom right, but he's got both of them in the top left, which I guess makes for a very obvious direction to expand into. So why did we go the interference matrix route? I actually am not like, what are we gonna interference matrix? The Queens? No. The Ravens? Difficult. Oh, he just got one of them with the Cyclones. That's pretty amazing. Special moving forward once again. Missile tech level 3 is gonna finish up momentarily. Oh, they can hit that from the other side of the mineral line. Today I learned. Yeah, there's units waiting though. The deeper he's going across the map, the more angles the Zerg can be coming in from as well. And here we go. Apparently this is where Elazer decides to pull the trigger. Okay, we do have some Vipers joining in the fray. A lot of siege tanks waiting on the other side of this crevice, actually waiting. Massive blinding cloud, forcing a lot of that Terran army to move forward. We did have an anti-armor missile going down as well on those Hydras. So I think backing off from those siege tanks is certainly the right choice. I almost missed them, but 6 Banelings. Is that 6 Banelings? 7 Banelings. Oh, they're burrowed, man. That would have been beautiful. I mean, this is kind of beautiful just to see them sitting there. Elazer was inviting his opponent in the direction of that ramp. Did not quite get it. Oh my god, he scanned just at the last possible second. That was not a scan to scout for burrowed Banelings. That could have almost been an absolute disaster right there for the Mexican Terran. Whew, okay. Blinding clouds once again landed right there on those siege tanks. Get him out of there. Okay, he's not gonna unsiege them. He's gonna try and just stand his ground. And you know what? With those tanks over there and the anti-armor missile once again, it may very well work out. Lovely games. Okay, in the meantime, Special did secure the gold, by the way. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we have quite a few SCVs that can probably be transferred elsewhere, but gonna start mining out those mineral fields, couple of blue flame Hellions, turn into Hellbats. They're no longer able. This is actually a massive change. I have not really touched upon it, but it's one of the biggest changes made to the Terran late game. Hellions now, with +3 and blue flame, are no longer able to one-shot Zerglings. So in the past, they would always one-shot Zerglings, and now they don't anymore. They two-shot Zerglings. Doesn't sound like a massive deal, but in my own experience, it's actually one of the biggest changes in the patch. They added that after the PTR launched, and people were like, ah, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. I honestly think it's one of the most significant changes. Zerglings are now, I wouldn't say like a more viable unit in the late game for fighting, but they're much better than they used to be. Elazer once again catching his opponent sleeping. Gets a lot of units there in the middle of the map. And SpeCial's running out of juice. He's running out of resources. Oh, that's a lot of banelings coming up. 26 banelings do get spotted over here. Are we gonna just roll forward? Can we do some splits? Okay, well that's the opposite of a split. Still worked out okay, actually, for the Cyclones. He clumped them up together and somehow, some way, it still worked out okay. Anyways, Hydra's here from the backside of the golden minerals, putting in so much work. I think these lads over here have killed the majority of those 25 SCVs, and their lost brothers as well. Couple more Hydras were there earlier. Drilling Claws coming up. Okay, SpeCial literally just going for anything now. He's just looking at his upgrades. I don't think we have seen a single interference matrix in this game. Yeah, he's just... I think it's only 50 minerals, 50 gas, so it's not a big research by any stretch, and maybe that's the reason he decided to get it, but... Interesting choice, regardless. This army, though, right here, for SpeCial, is lacking that anchor, right? Like, you don't have a lot of siege tanks here in the back. That planetary becomes really vulnerable. Elazer is now rapidly outgrowing the Terran, and while he's going for whatever unit he pleases, he seems to be one step ahead. Now transferring drones over here, that high yield gas over here in the top section of the map though, putting in so much value. I mean, this one is already mined out, but he's found himself with 2300 gas because of it. We're gonna go for the neural parasite research here as well. What a fun series. I wasn't sure what to expect, but if this is what Terran mech is going to look like moving forward, rather than that boring turtle style where both players sit back for like 20 minutes. This is like the exact opposite, right? And obviously it's hard to say where the meta will settle, but this is exciting. Now this is a trap. This is a trap. You gotta be so careful, SpeCial. There's a Zerg army here waiting on the right side. Waiting for you to go a little bit deeper onto the creep. Another command center here gets made, but SpeCial does not have that, well, dozen or so orbital commands that Terrans like to have. Okay. He has secured the high ground pretty well, though. This is where, once again, Brute Lords would be amazing, right? Like, imagine 4 Brute Lords at this point coming in. You don't really need that many. Just to force out Thor production, get rid of these siege tanks. 1 Blue Flame Hellion here. Somehow, some way managed to drive by all of those spine crawlers, and yeah, one of the spines is gonna be forced to move on over in that direction. Not so static defense. Okay, Neural Parasite has been completed. Where are the infestors? We have 12 of them here, which is kind of a lot. Corruptor's coming up, by the way. Did we get a Greater Spire? Oh, we did get a Greater Spire. Okay, yeah. I think Brute Lords here would be an amazing choice. SpeCial is broke. Elazer can still remax, I think, one more time. Although his army is pricey, he can remax on like a cheaper force. Okay. Neural Parasites. That was cute. Does he have enough, though? I don't know if I like this decision here all too much by Elazer. Very expensive, yeah, set of losses there. That was certainly not optimal at all. I think SpeCial got the upper end of that trade for certain. And that may all he really needs, to be honest. The Widow Mines here as well in these positions make it difficult for the Zerglings to come in, right? Maybe the Blue Flame Hellbats can no longer one-shot Zerglings, but Widow Mines certainly can. Brute Lords, though, coming up. There's nothing here to counter Brute Lords. SpeCial is not prepared. This is the Elazer SpeCial coming up. Get it, guys? God, I'll be here all week and year. Probably next year, too. Hopefully the year after that as well. All right, here come the Brute Lords. This is the first time SpeCial sees it. Yeah, you gotta be careful now. Your siege tanks are gonna start dealing friendly fire. You gotta unsiege those tanks. Are you not gonna unsiege the tanks? SpeCial's trying to get underneath the Brute Lords. He's trying to get underneath the Brute Lords with the Cyclones. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. GG immediately gets cold after that. It was a desperate move. I think SpeCial realized that that wasn't going to happen, but it really was his only shot. Elazer wins game number 3. Solaris is game number 4. This time around, SpeCial has decided to go for a double barracks opener. Yeah, this is a high ground that is not very safe. Those Marines are gonna have a grand old time. And the very first Overlord that has gone across the map well, it did get sniped. The other Overlord is a little bit closer to home, so at the very least, Elazer is not gonna lose 2 of them, but this is gonna slow down the early game for the Zerg player quite a bit. That being said, of course, you can't really get that much done with these Marines either, although I say that, look at the boys! Ah, we're gonna make a bunker. You know what? If he can get the kill in the bunker, that would be absolutely huge. He's gonna show up over here at the front. He wants to see if he can maybe get a creep tumor. The Marines at this point are, of course, spotted as well. Jimmy and the lads need to be so cautious, though. They don't really know exactly when Ling Speed is gonna finish up, and that's always a little bit dangerous. It's a Zergling, Lester. Smaller tap is Zerg. You hit some poor feller's dog. Okay, well, at this point, the bunker gets shown. I actually think he shouldn't have shown the bunker. I don't think it was envisioned yet. Probably should have waited before he popped into the bunker there, because now it's gonna be within the Zerg's vision. He's gonna have to cancel this. Yep. He's not making units to try and defend it, so he's gonna have to cancel that bunker. Or, well, that hatchery, rather. There's no way he's gonna keep it around. Gonna salvage the bunker, too. Yep. Okay, new hatchery building right now at, like, the triangle position. But this is a really good start right here for Special. Other than that SCV, I'm not sure where the SCV was going. But yeah, salvaging the bunker there, getting the 75% of the resources back, and this all makes it a pretty small commitment here for Special. Third command center fires up immediately at home as well. Love to see that. So this is a 2-1-1 with a third command center. Okay. Ah, really? We're gonna... Widow Mines, maybe? Could be Widow Mines. Yeah, okay. It's gonna be Widow Mines together with a single medevac. I thought that we're gonna switch the reactor over onto the starport. Or I guess the starport onto the reactor. Armory does come up, by the way. That's interesting. So this is an armory before any sort of NG base. I guess it's just for the Widow Mines, but... yeah, interesting decision right there by Special. Once again, going for a seemingly normal game, this time around with Bio. So infantry instead, but taking a very interesting approach as to how he got here. Relatively small amount of workers at this point for Special, though, and that's obviously because of his triple CC start and all of the aggression earlier on. Maybe a little bit of mismacroing, although I'm not exactly sure there. 35 workers does seem a little bit low. You can tell immediately, right, when you don't have Cyclones and Hellions roaming the other side of the map, the creep spread gets underway. Yeah, you give Elazer another minute and it will be at like the halfway point. He, Special that is, needs to start harassing. Okay. Oh, don't lose the medevac. Okay. Well, at least one of the Widow Mines got burrowed, and obviously the armory is done, so... oh no. Okay. 4 drones. Nothing all too crazy, though. Yeah, the armory is done, so at this point, Elazer needs detection. It's a little bit gimmicky, but fair enough. So, one change that they've made to the Widow Mine is that, with the new multiplayer balance patch, is that they unburrow twice as fast when a drilling claws upgrade is done. Which I still find a... Out of all the changes, okay, the ones that I think are really stupid, right? Don't get me wrong. I am maybe a little bit Zerg biased, but fair enough. Did we just see a massive Widow Mine drop and I missed it? It's this lad over here that never got cleaned up. Oh my god, it just got to fire a second time. All these units just get to fire a second time. Okay. I'm gonna be a little bit biased, so bear with me. But if I were to have my way, and I would, you know, make adjustments from here, I would revert the Baneling HP nerf. And I would also remove the Widow Mine buff. I understand that the Widow Mine buff is very minor, but it seemed so unnecessary. Like, who's out there thinking that the Widow Mine needed a buff? Not even Terran players, man. I've asked like 100 Terran players. I'm not even joking. I asked this on stream. And none of the Terran players are like, yeah, I wish the Widow Mine was stronger. Nobody really likes the Widow Mine that much. It feels like Clem got to decide that particular change. It's like, Clem, what would you like? If you could wave a magic wand, Clem, what is the upgrade you would like to see? It's like, well, Widow Mines can now be microed even more by unburrowing them. It's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Anyways, hatchery over here ends up going down. Sorry, I'm a little salty. The thing is, right, they literally write in the patch notes something along the lines of, yeah, we want to make the game less explosive and less game-ending damage, right? So what we've decided to do is nerf the Baneling. Okay, so the Baneling is a little bit weaker, less explosive, makes sense, less game-ending. At the same time, we've also decided to nerf the Disruptor. Okay, yeah, less explosions, less game-ending, great. And then in the same patch, we decide to buff the Widow Mine. Okay, no, I can rant about that for an hour, and I already have. If you've been watching my stream over the last couple of days, you have probably witnessed me rant quite a bit. But it just makes no sense. Like, that is just not in the same line of thought. That is a little bit tone deaf for sure. Like, when you think about it, nerfing the Baneling is effectively already a buff to these units. All of the units right here. They really, they really didn't need to. Nah, they really did not need that. Nah, everybody agrees. Anyways, now I do want to kind of see it though. Can we maybe get the drilling claws upgrade going? So they unburrow faster. That's the main thing. They unburrow twice as fast. Rather than just burrowing twice as fast. I think it's twice as fast. Ooh, that Widow Mine. Bit of a betrayer. Betrayer. In truth, it was I who was betrayed. Sorry. Burning Crusade, anybody? No? Long time ago. Was it actually Burning Crusade? Or is it Frozen Throne? I don't even remember. It's such a long time ago. Okay, anyways. +2/+2 fired up here for special. So this is a very normal game. Yeah. This is a type of game that we've seen many times before. And in my mind, this is where Terran players are actually gonna find most success. Because their units are a little bit better. The Zerg units are a little bit worse. And in my mind, it was already very evenly matched. So these small adjustments at this level of play should make quite a big difference. You can see that Elazer seems a bit allergic to making any, oh god, this is horrible for him. To making any Banelings. So he decided to rush out more Hydras. But Hydras are just not that great of a unit. Like, they're decent. He manages to hold here. But he's definitely gonna need Banelings here very, very soon. His creep spread is looking tremendous, by the way. Ay. Creep spread is everywhere. Doing a really good job in that department. Okay. Matter of fact, drop heading up north as well. One thing that concerns me here a lot for Elazer, though, is like, yeah, he's got these Hydras out. Yeah, he hasn't really taken critical damage. But his economy kind of sucks, and his upgrades are even worse. So as Terran is finishing 2-2, will he probably be thinking finally about making another upgrade? Which is very rough. Very painful for him. Lovely bit of multitasking right here, though, by Special. Building the 4th command center at the 4th command center location. Not even rallying units over there. He's feeling confident. He realizes that Zerg is unlikely to come in. Okay. There's finally the +2 armor upgrade for Zerg. But yeah, it's certainly not ideal. Infestation pit coming up. So he maybe wants to go into like a hive. I wonder if he's thinking about going ultras. So the change to the ultra, there's 2 changes. One is 25 mineral cost reduction. Honestly, practically meaningless, but I guess cool. The second one, though, is even more pointless. They now burrow faster. So when you try to burrow an Ultralisk, it's very ironic to see, by the way, an Ultralisk burrowing on the ground. You never really see it, but yeah. By the way, to make up, this is an interesting question I think it's an interesting question. To make up for the Widow Mine buff, they said that they were gonna make the Widow Mine line more visible. So this is a list of things, or this is listed amongst all the other things in the balance changes, that the Widow Mine is going to be easier to spot which unit it's targeting. Tell me if you guys can notice a difference. So when these Widow Mines fire, there's going to be a little line, and supposedly it's easier to see. I didn't see anything different there. I couldn't see where the unit was firing at all. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think that changes actually life. Maybe it's one of those things that actually isn't possible. Because maybe, yeah, it was a cool idea, but maybe they didn't actually find a way to make that work without, like, significantly changing the game. And if Blizzard is not working on that, I don't think that's gonna happen. Anyways. Yeah, I think just a balance change to the damage reduction of the Baneling would be cool. And reverting the Widow Mine changes. Even though we don't even see it in this game. It's just, yeah, that would be nice. I think that'd be cool. Anyhow, the Dune drop is ready to go across the little bit of dead space over here at the bottom, and we're gonna go straight into the main base. The Zerg army is desperately running on over in this direction, but honestly, when Special sees that this is still lair tech, I think he'll be pretty happy. Fight over here as well in the center of the map. At least that infestor got a fungal off, a big fungal too, right as it popped out of the cocoon. Okay. Fair enough. Push is going pretty well. Fight over here in the middle, also won by Terran, it looks like. Special has got a gajillion resources in the bank, though. He really needs to pump out some units. Way too much money in the bank. Okay, 9 Marines once again coming up. 9! That's what they say in Germany when they talk about, 9 Marines at one. 9 Marines! Actually, no. 9? Yeah, it's not quite as aggressive. Anyhow, yeah, he's gonna need a couple production cycles like that, but you can tell immediately that the money right now is gonna be down quite a bit. Now, the big advantage here for Special is the upgrades. 3-3 are gonna finish up very, very soon, and that's gonna make life so much better for him. Zerg is not even remotely close to 3-3. Look at this. Elazer just fired up 1-1. He cannot go into the hive yet either, apparently, because he needs to spend all of his money here on units. This is Elazer desperately trying to stay alive. And so far he's managed, though. He's doing an excellent job dancing over here. I just wonder what his out is here in this game. Like, where exactly is he going to take this? The additional command centers are coming up right now. Fusion core? Okay. There is an upgrade to the Metavec, too. Oh, God. Okay, those fungals were beautiful. Nicely done right there by Elazer. I think the Fusion Core Metafec upgrade that makes them regen health like twice as fast, or energy rather twice as fast, which, you know, they use to heal. I don't think it's super significant, but in combination with everything else, it's definitely more useful than the previous upgrade, right? In combination with everything else, it does make me a little concerned, yeah. I don't think it's gonna be something that, maybe Special is rushing that out. I thought actually when he put down the Fusion Core that this was going to be for like a Liberator transition. But maybe not. What are we going to make? Okay, nothing yet because we're busy microing, I guess. Oh, there it is. Yeah. This upgrade is called the Caduceus Reactor. Okay, so real quick. God, that's a fast upgrade, isn't it? I can feel like it's researching right in front of our eyes there, man. Look at that. That bar is filling in. So I've got a feeling that the upgrade is really not that big of a deal, but I might be wrong. I mentioned that in my patch notes video, and a lot of you disagreed with me, which is fair enough. I mean, I'm just, you know, giving you my initial impressions on a lot of things, and this, it doubles the energy regen on Metavex. So if you're wanting to play, like, I guess the situation where it's good is where you want to play that endless mid game. So this is effectively for both players a mid-game based army, right? And in an endless mid-game, I can see that working out. We should have seen Drilling Claws, though. I don't understand why Special doesn't have Drilling Claws. Yeah, in an endless mid-game, this upgrade definitely has a lot of value, for sure. I stand corrected. So now the upgrade is done, and the Metavecs are apparently going to be slightly more powerful now. Another one of those things, though, that I feel like, oh, big fungal. Really wasn't necessary. Okay. The Hydras are putting in a lot of work, though. So Hydras aren't any stronger, by the way. They're just faster to research with and a little bit cheaper. So, like, the unit isn't cheaper, but the upgrades are. So things are just a little bit easier to max out. But overall, the Hydra strength is identical to that of the previous patch. Okay, interesting. We still do not have a hive. Oh, we do have a hive. Okay, yeah, we just don't have any hive upgrades yet. Okay, there we go. Finally, do we have adrenal glands here coming up. I was gonna say, if we still don't have a hive, we're gonna be in a world of trouble. You know what? Maybe that Metavec upgrade is gonna be huge if no Zerg players ever want to play late game. Okay, those banelings through those speed circles, though, they deal a lot of damage. Now Mr. Special is starting up a little bit of that turtling. He still does not have drilling claws, guys. I don't understand why he doesn't get drilling claws. He really should have made that a while ago. He's got so many Widow Mines. Yeah, 37 of them have died in this game. Probably could have been like half of them if you could have unburrowed them a little bit quicker, huh? Ultra Cavern coming up, by the way, here for Elazer. Liberator ranged coming up. Okay. Nice split right there by the Polish Zerg. Playing a fast game for sure. Additional starports now on the production tab as well. So real quick, the changes made to the Ultra. It's 25 minerals cheaper. It burrows a little bit quicker. And maybe most importantly, the Ghost, it takes 1 additional snipe to kill an Ultra. So it used to take 3 snipes, now it's 4. There are no ghosts in this game. Not yet anyways. And that may very well be the reason. Okay. More and more fighting over here. It's a lot of damage being done here. Fungal. Okay, decent bit of damage. Elazer still holds. I actually thought he would get overwhelmed by now. But he's doing okay. I still feel like this is a Zerg army, though, that eventually will get overwhelmed by the Terran. I would like to be wrong. But this Terran army is still getting better. And Ultras kind of feel like a sidestep, you know? Like Liberators, yeah, they make this army significantly more... Really? Really special? We're gonna queue up that many libs? Okay. Liberators, they are a genuine improvement, right? In like the Terran hierarchy, but it kind of feels like Ultras are a sidestep. They're good, but I think Zergling Hydra is better, to be honest. With this many libs up in the air, maybe if you can get a fungal growth, right? And then suddenly the Ultras can pounce. That can obviously be awesome, but Lings and Hydras do the same thing. Okay. Well, we're gonna go for the anabolic synthesis as well. We're just gonna continuously get more and more upgrades. That's not gonna be enough army anyways. A lot of Terran here waiting. Special has done a phenomenal job taking his side of the map, but he wants this base over here up north. Ultras now have shown up, and they are really good, of course, when it's just like Marine Marauder. I say that, really good. You can see that the Marauders are still pretty strong. Yeah, they don't have their +3 Carapace upgrade yet. They don't have +3 melee yet either, by the way. Fungal growth! Oh my god, okay, big fungal. And that now very well may allow those Hydras to start pushing through. Liberators are gonna go down. And that means that the Ultras are once again a viable choice. No planetary fortress over here. Ultras up north also getting a lot of damage in. Suddenly the Ultras are everywhere. Special not quite prepared for this. This Ultra has found a location where apparently it was just a little bit of dead space. Hatchery over here, okay, is gonna end up falling, it looks like. Ultras here will get destroyed. We should probably make some ghosts. Wow, he's doubling down on the Ultras. I'm terrified of making Ultras personally, man. They're good units, but once there's enough libs out, what exactly do you do? Oh, look at a cute little small Ultra. Anyways. Getting a lot of units over here. They're just rushing through all of it. Okay, that planetary fortress is gone. 6 Liberators right now, though, coming up at once. And those units are gonna be awesome here for Special. Like, obviously, he needs to use them effectively. Okay, but yeah, this is the type of fight you want to see here as Terran. Lovely stuff. No Infestor to be seen anywhere. Yeah, we have 2 of them somewhere. Okay, they're off to the right over here. One of them definitely will have enough energy for fungal growth. Liberation zones, putting in so much work. Okay. Sporecrawler apparently has been pushed to the front. The only unit that both the Widow Mine as well as the Liberator don't attack. Fungals. Lovely work here by Elazer, trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat, but ultimately, I've got a feeling that these fights should go in favor of the Terran, although maybe I'm mistaken. Those Hydras coming in from the side, putting in so much work with their +3 missile upgrade. In the meantime, we have Zerglings trying their very best to deal damage on the other side of the map as well, picking up the reinforcements as they pop out of the production structures. They don't have +3 melee yet though, which is actually noteworthy here, because those Marines and Marauders just don't die as quickly as they could have. Looks like the standoff has mostly ended. Yeah, wow. And Elazer actually has a supply lead. I really did not think that that was going to happen. That's amazing for him. Well done. Yeah, no planetary fortress over here surprises me a bit. I think a planetary there would be so much better. There's no detector nearby, so those Widow Mines are going to be able to get some extra damage in. And we still do not have the Drilling Claws research. So that, all of that doesn't really help Special very much here. But it's looking good here in this game so far for Elazer. Good-ish. 60-something workers remaining here for him. There is a planetary a little bit further back. Banelings, okay. Managed to get a decent detonation there on most of the SCVs, but in the meantime, these libs up north have already got, well, 30+ kills combined. 23 on the one of them, 8 on the other. Not bad whatsoever. Fungal? Boom! Hey, there we go. Another? Boom! Lovely work here by Elazer, man. Special, though, doing a great job moving forward. Sieging up the Liberators, actually, in that speed-up circle. One advantage, of course, of the Orbital is that it can fly, but you do have to lift it off in time. Liberators here are still denying bases, and this is really starting to cost Elazer quite a bit. Where's the income at? Yeah, he's still at an advantage. But that's mostly because Terran has not been able to mine these center bases here for a while, right? It's not because of his own economy is that amazing. As a matter of fact, over the next couple minutes, his bases are going to start running dry. So he's decided, okay, to take this base that is definitely considered to be one of the Terran bases. Bio army here down south. No infestor to push this back, so that hatchery will end up falling. Zergling still going in for the counterattack on the other side of the map. Medevac here with its double energy regen, trying its very best to keep these Marauders and Marines alive. Forced to pick up though and get on out of there. Lovely little bit of Sim City here as well by Special though, shoving his units in between those structures. Hatchery up here is going to finish. Looks like the Spore Crawlers have got 1 kill each. May very well be those Liberators from earlier. Command centers though have now landed again, and Special is going to be able to continue the mining in the middle of the map. Okay. Can the Hydras maybe pick off that Medevac? I don't think that would be... No? Okay. So, just let it be. Live and let live, I always say. Here come the Libs, though. At the very least, they're gonna force the attention of the Zerg in this direction. The Marauders once again unload, and... that's gonna be the end for those Liberators for sure. Still killing a couple of units on their way out. Terran army advancing down south as well. They want to see if maybe this expansion is retaken, but not the case. A couple Zerglings waiting here. Maybe they popped out of the cocoon that was originally placed in that hatchery. Maybe they missed their moms, you know? Kind of looked like it. Alrighty. A lot of mules here in the middle of the map. Yeah, those mules are now returning tons of cargo here for Special. He's decided to move his foot off the gas for a little bit. And just harass with a small hit squad instead of his main army. And it's allowing him a lot more income here. Yeah, he needed a little bit of cash. Problem is, this map is actually running out. This base over here may very well be one that Special is currently looking to take. Even though it is on the Zerg side of the map. No ghosts in the mix though, right? Like that surprises me a little bit. Getting a lot of those Zerg units as they're trying to run away, but we're now engaging in some part, at least, on the speed zone. That speed zone allows those Zerglings and Banelings and Hydras and Ultras and all that much easier access to the Terran army. The Terran units, of course, all ranged. In the end, though, there's still enough Terran, it looks like, to push back this army. Fungal growth! Fungal growth! Oh, Infestor now with only a little bit of HP, but at the very least, the Fungal was denied for the most part. That could have been a lot worse. Would love to see some Burrowed Bane play again, right? Do we have Burrow? We do have Burrow, but there's not really that many Banelings available. Special, I mean, not managing with a lot of resources, but... or he's not really able to use his resources very effectively here, but... Elazer would probably like to make some more Banes. There we go. But the fight is going on for such a long time. Widowmine over there gets killed. Can he actually get the wraparound on those Marines? Looks like the Marines decided to loop themselves up in Vaseline before they decided to leave the barracks. And they did somehow, some way, slither away there. And you know what? Because of that, Special stents his ground. It's the Vaseline, guys. Lovely splits here, though, by the Mexican Terran player. Really great work. Trying his best to deny this expansion from the Zerg player, and he is actually getting it done. Fungal growth coming from the high ground. Another fungal, though, does connect as well. Is there enough Zerg remaining to actually push all of this back? One Hero Ultra would be amazing right now. It's on the production tab, but for now, it looks like the Terran army can maneuver around on that creep for a little bit longer. Wow, GG gets cold. And in a nail-biter of a game, it's Special who evens up the score. Alrighty, and that takes us to Site Delta, the final game in this best of 5 series. Absolute banger so far. I really hope you're enjoying it. It's been fun, man, watching these strategies develop. Couple of small mistakes here and there, of course, by both players. Couple of decisions that I think they probably disagree with as well if they were to replay the game, but hey. A lot of StarCraft 2 is just learned by trying. Proxy starport, really special. Okay, we've got a starport building right outside of the main base of the Zerg, and obviously there is quite a bit of dead space over here. This looks a lot like the previous games that we've seen with the triple... Actually, is it just 2 Reapers this time around? Okay, well, it looks kind of similar to the triple Reaper style, but it's gonna be 2 Reapers together with 2 Hellions here. Fair enough. And I guess we'll drop all of those units in the main base? Ah, no, we're gonna go for a Liberator. Okay. Interesting decision to proxy that starport. I actually don't know if I agree with it. Sure, it can put in a lot of work, but it's not like you're gonna kill tons of drones with a proxy Liberator. At least you shouldn't, assuming the Zerg is gonna pull away their units in time. I guess what Special's trying to do is trying to pull all of those queens to the front here. And then hopefully for him, he can... Yeah, he needs to be careful with those Overlords, Elazer. I was gonna say, I don't think he can really position him like that anymore. He's playing like he's playing against Hellions every time, but here we go. Cyclones on the back of this too. Overlord is gonna scout this. I don't see how this is gonna work out that well here for Special, but maybe I'm mistaken. You really only need to dedicate 1 queen to defending it. A little drone transfer, maybe... Okay, maybe caught? Queen over here in the main base is going to be able to inject and then start defending against that Liberator. Liberator at this point, put down its circle. And here's the crisis management for Elazer. Okay, 2 drones for now. The dance continues. Second Liberator comes up as well. And I guess with Cyclones, that's kind of cool though. Here comes the barracks across 2. With the Cyclone, I guess there's going to be a lot of attention that Special would ordinarily spend on defending against the Liberator that he now has to spend at the front instead. Okay. Second Liberator is going to be able to start harassing the natural maybe, or come in from a different angle in the main. Ah, that's the idea, man. Just try and create as much chaos as possible. So maybe at some point, the Zerg is going to slip up. Yeah, and this is already a slip up. That's like a good 5, 6, 7 Zerglings or so going down for basically nothing. Although that was also a mistake right there from the Terran, not unsieging that. In the meantime, Queen over here at the front. Scan is gonna reveal its location, but it looks like there's enough transfusion energy available for the Queens to keep the other Queens alive. Liberator here continues harassing a little bit more. Only 5 drones so far. Well, and a couple Queens. Maybe only 1 actually. Yeah, only 1 Queen. I would have liked this a whole lot better if Special did not lose that second Liberator. Zerglings going in for the counterattack, it looks like. There's a bit of a cursed wall off, but eventually it'll happen. Second factory, by the way. Finishing up. I guess we're gonna go into some more Cyclone play once again. Cyclones over here putting in quite a bit of work, and as long as the Zerglings do not get the wraparound, this is going to be manageable for the Terran. But once more, I think that's an overextension. Special must know that there's a lot of Zerglings out on the map because he saw them earlier. I think he gets a little too greedy. That's going to take time, right? That's going to be something you want to practice. How aggressive can you be? Losing that barracks over there as well. You're gonna have to remake it now. Okay. So, hello. What? Screw you, Overlord. Nobody likes you. I don't know. Anyways, here we go again. The Whirlwind Thrusters. The Tornado Thrusters? Is that it? I think so. He's gonna have to remake that barracks at home right now if he wants to produce additional factories. Third command center at least is done. Can we please go for an orbital command over here? I think that's not a bad call. There's the lair coming up. Okay, so let's see what Elazer has learned about this so far. So even though the road that we took to getting here is very different, ultimately we will end up with a very similar unit composition. So what are we gonna change up? Roach Warren coming up, okay. Just a higher worker count may honestly already be enough. We should probably get a 4th base going here pretty soon. The Liberators, by the way, still being pumped out one at a time. Liberators still being as obnoxious as they possibly can be. A lot of worker kills here, though. Not bad at all. Hellions trying to go around the side. Okay, that Liberator here is gonna end up going down, but not before taking out quite a few of these workers. At the same time, okay. A little bit of harassment here at the front. Lovely stuff here by SpeCial. So the roaches are coming up right now for Elazer. I think that 4th hatch is actually a little too late. That probably should have been down already. I think you probably want to be sitting at like 75, maybe 80 drones before you want to start making army, but I'm not entirely sure either. But I think that's probably what he's aiming for. He's gonna go for Ravagers. I feel like we haven't seen that much Ravager play yet in this series. Am I wrong? We did see it earlier, of course. We did see a bunch of Biles, but not a heavy focus on Ravagers. Ravager Ling may very well be the unit comp, to be honest. This starport has been so obnoxious, man. SpeCial trying his best to just be as annoying as he possibly can be to the Zerg. Right now he's got that worker advantage. 4th command center about halfway done. It's an exposed location though, so I don't know if I like it all too much. Okay, feel like the Zerglings could have maybe turned around, but yeah, Ravagers here at the bottom. Baneling Nest coming up. Blue Flame researching, by the way. So it's basically just Ravagers here. I mean, this is a unit that has a lot of range. It's very powerful. Biles are not to be underestimated. We have enough Biles to basically, well, 2-shot the command center. That's a lot. Yeah, that was a little bit desperate, though. I don't think you're going to be able to get the CC like that. And now you also really can't go home very easily, can you? No, those Cyclones are just trying to chase you down here. Very expensive decision right there by Elazer to try and go after all of those bases and try to fight the army. Okay, I think this was an experiment right here. He was trying to decide and see how good Ravagers would work against Cyclones. But it turns out Cyclones are basically the Terran equivalent of a Ravager, okay? I called them a Roach earlier. Scratch that. These are basically a Ravager. They really do have quite a bit of overlap. Pretty flimsy unit overall, but relatively quick. Ability that deals damage from ranged. And you can really shove them forward like Mr. SpeCial just did, and he got so much work done with them. Whenever the fights take place on creep, I think the Ravagers will probably feel a little bit better. I say that though, but you can move and shoot these units at the same time, of course, with that lock-on ability, and that ultimately makes them so much more powerful. To the point where Elazer is so frustrated playing against this. He sees that his opponent has got a 4th command center done at this point. His economy is really nothing to write home about. I do consider this an early GG. But in the end, it's SpeCial who obtains the victory in this best of 5 series. Before I close out this video, today I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much for directly supporting the channel. If you're interested in some of the perks, you can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. There's a link down below in the description of this video. If you decide to sign up, definitely make sure to send me a message and say hi. Anyways, for now, thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.